The alien girl stood at the edge of the crowded marketplace, her long legs towering above most of her own people, her pale blue skin glistening faintly under the twin suns. Yet the way the others looked at her was not admiration. It was dismissal. She had grown up hearing the same cruel phrase over and over: too tall, to breed too tall, to be chosen too tall. To ever have a made her height was seen as unnatural among her people, an evolutionary mistake, one that made her useless in the eyes of tradition. She had tried to accept it, tried to live quietly away from the glances and whispers, but deep inside she still ached for someone to look at her and not see a mistake. That day she was standing by a fruit vendor when a human arrived, a tall man by his own species standards, but even he had to tilt his head slightly to look up at her. His eyes, however, held no judgment, no disgust, only curiosity. He greeted the vendor in the alien tongue, though his accent was rough, and then glanced at her again. "You are tall," he said with a half smile. The alien girl, tense, bracing for the insult that usually followed, but it never came. Instead, he added, "Tall is good where I come from. Tall is strong. Tall is beautiful." She stared at him, unsure how to respond. Her voice came out quieter than she intended. "My people do not think. So they say I cannot breed, that no male will want me." The human frowned, as if the thought genuinely bothered him. "Then they are fools," he said, simply, and picked out a piece of fruit before walking away, leaving her standing there with her heart racing. The days that followed, she saw him more often. He was new to their settlement, working as a mechanic, repairing both human and alien machines. His hands were always stained with oil, and his smile always came easily each time they spoke. He treated her as if her height was nothing unusual. Sometimes he would even ask her to help him reach tools on high shelves in his workshop. He would laugh and say, "You are like the perfect ladder, only much prettier." Slowly, she found herself drawn to the workshop just to be near him, to hear his voice. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the market quieted, she lingered near his shop until he noticed her standing in the doorway. "You look troubled," he said. She hesitated, then blurted out the thought that had been haunting her since they met. "Why are you not bothered by my height?" He tilted his head. "Why would I be? You are magnificent," he said, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. She blinked, feeling her chest tighten. No one had ever called her that, not even her own mother. She stepped closer, feeling the warmth radiating from him. "You truly think?" "So I do," he said, his gaze steady and unflinching. "In fact, I think your people are missing out entirely." Her heart pounded as she whispered, "And what about breeding?" His lips quirked into a smirk. "I do not see any problem with giving it a go." Her breath caught the boldness of his words making her cheeks warm, yet she saw no mockery in his expression, only sincerity. In the days that followed their connection deepened. They spent hours together, talking, laughing, and sometimes just sitting in comfortable silence. She learned that humans did not have the same strict breeding expectations that her people did. They valued compatibility, affection, and attraction over measurements and height. Eventually the night came when he invited her to his home. It was a small dwelling compared to the towering structures of her city, but it felt warm and welcoming. He cooked for her, using human spices that made her senses swim with delight. After dinner, they sat close on the couch, his hand brushing against hers. Every touch sent sparks up her arm. Finally, she could no longer hold back her thoughts. "I want to try," she whispered. His eyes searched hers. "You are certain?" "I am," she said, her voice trembling. He reached out, cupped her face gently, and leaned in, their lips meeting in a slow, tender kiss. Her heart soared at the sensation. It felt as if the years of rejection had melted away in that single moment. His hands explored her tall frame, not with hesitation, but with appreciation. He marveled at the length of her legs, the curve of her hips, the strength in her back. She felt truly seen for the first time. Their connection that night was unlike anything she had imagined. Afterward, they lay together, her head resting against his chest as he traced idle patterns along her arm. "Do you still think you are too tall to breed?" he murmured. She smiled for the first time in years. The answer came easily. "No, I think I am just right." He grinned, pulling her closer. "Good, because I was thinking we should try again soon." Weeks later, whispers spread through the settlement. People noticed the way the human and the too tall alien girl walked together, the way he would rest his hand on her lower back, as if she was precious, and mock quietly. But others began to question the old beliefs, and when it became known that she was carrying life, the shock was immeasurable. Her people had claimed it was impossible. Yet here she was, a human, stood proudly by her side, daring anyone to challenge the truth. Eventually, even the elders could not deny what they saw, and though it would take years for old prejudices to fade, the first step had been taken. She had found not only love, but a place where she belonged, and it had all begun because one human looked at her and decided to give it a go. Alien Girl D2, hashtag Sci-Fi, hashtag Alien Girl, hashtag Human and Alien.